review and research gap analysis. Now, maybe I could see there are many people who are already doctorate, and some of you, I assume that you are pursuing your research. Okay, and then so irrespective of the qualification, you all know that literature review is important element in a research. Okay. Now the question arises: why do we need to do a literature review, and what is the purpose? Okay. Because if you could see the position of this process, okay, it is in the stage 2 of a research. Okay, because we start with problem identification. Once the problem is identified, we will go for a literature review. Okay, then the question you may ask, what is the need for a literature review? Because usually what we thought is, when we have a problem or when we are identifying a problem, when we are making a problem statement, we assume most of the time we assume that ours is a very new problem, a novel problem, and no one has faced it. That's a kind of a mentality or human tendency we have. Okay. Now, to always it is better to understand what is exist and what is there, and then you go for a building a new one. For example, you already have you identified your problem. Now, without doing a review of literature, if you start doing the research, okay, and maybe you continue with other process like hypothesis framing, research design, and then data collection, analysis, and reporting. And finally, you come to know that there is already existing studies, similar kind of studies available, okay, and you forget to note it or forget to understand it, okay, and you will end up in a problem in the Viva. Okay, assume that you are defending your thesis, and one of the evaluator noting that your research is already there. Okay, exact replicate is already there. Okay. Now, this will put you in an embarrassing situation. Okay, that is one thing. Another thing is, the main purpose of review of literature is to understand the existing knowledge. Okay, research is nothing but adding a knowledge to the existing knowledge. Okay, adding a new knowledge to the existing knowledge. Right. Now, why literature review is important? Maybe I used to say to my students that to avoid the reinvention of wheel. Okay, the purpose of review of literature is to avoid the reinvention of wheel. Okay, maybe what is the reinvention of wheel? Because wheel is already invented. Okay, thousands and thousands of years before, the concept of wheel is already invented, and people are using it. Okay, and there is no other way of inventing the wheel again. Okay, for example, can you invent the wheel in a different shapes? Okay, can you invent a wheel in a square or a rectangular shape? That's not at all possible, and it's not required. Okay, it is unnecessary. And if you start doing it, it is simply you're wasting your time and energy. Okay. Now, for example, for the purpose of moving one object to the other place, one place to other place with easy movement, you'll be using a roller kind of a thing, which is called as a wheel. Okay. Now, if you trying to do it again, finding out a new way of moving it, okay, then it is simply you're wasting time. So first of all, you should know whether the concept of wheel is existing or not. Okay, how do you know that? You should go to the review of literature. Reviewing the literature in the sense already published informations are available. You just go and read it, okay, and trying to match the solution available in the existing literature to your problem. Okay. Now, if it is not matching, okay, then it's good. You can go on building up a new research on this, okay, which is we call as a research gap. Okay, or else even if you found a similar kind of information, but still it is not exactly solving your problem, then some deviations are there. You are going to trying to filling up those deviations. That is also a research. Okay, so that's what we are going to discuss today. So our focus is on review of literature and research gap analysis. Right. Now, what we're going to cover in the 60 minutes, because we have been given only 60 minutes in the timeline. Okay, for example, we start with the purpose of review of literature, and we'll go for constructing a review systematically. So how it can be done? There is a procedure. There is a set of rules are already there. We'll be covering those things, And then identifying and articulating a research gap, okay, because it's not simply writing no research has done or nobody has done the research in this topic like that. It's all, you cannot write like that, okay. And then finally we will end up with some live demo of reviewing the literature. Maybe we have a lot of AI tools out there. I'm going to give you some idea on how to use this AI in understanding the research gap and reviewing the existing literature. Okay. That's the plan for this day. Now, going back again and understanding what is literature review. Okay, so usually in any research paper or a research article or in a thesis, okay, the important element is review of literature. It is the place where you showing the need for your study. Okay, because here, what is the purpose of your study? Because it's like a human beings. Not we are not only the new. We are the, excuse me. Sorry. Now, we are not the only living element in the world. There are so many elements in the world like that. Okay, not only we are only doing the research. There are n number of people who has already done a research and continuing research and doing the research. Okay, now the similar kind of problem can be faced by many other people. A similar kind of thought process may be had by many other people. Okay, so in this situation, we need to show that the problem we had or the way we handle the problem is unique and different. Okay. Otherwise, there is no need for others to spend their time and reading your research article or research project or a thesis. Okay. Now, the main purpose of review of literature is to just to confirm and then show to the reader that the need for your research. For example, here as I listed, a literature review that merely summarizes prior work will be rejected. There's a clear-cut result you need to understand. Okay, if you are sending your papers to a top quality journals, okay, obviously you may receive a lot of many times we receive the desk rejection. What is the desk rejection? How is this desk rejection is happening? Okay, so because we have I have discussed with many of the reviewers in the editors and reviewers in the journals. I asked why you are rejecting the papers and what is called desk rejection and how it is done. Okay, they simply said, see, especially for a top quality journals, okay, there will be a lot of people sending their papers. Okay, nearly 1,000 papers every year they are receiving. Now, do they have a time to review all this, okay, and then evaluating? Usually they don't have. Then what they're looking at, okay, it's like just like a face validity. We conduct some face validity in a questionnaire. Similarly, what they will do, just go through the paper. Okay, they look at the title, the abstract, and they look at your references. These three things is enough for them to either to proceed with the other process or simply rejecting your work. Okay, so what is there in this three things? Okay, title. First of all, the title it clearly tells what you're going to discuss, and they're trying to match your title with abstract. In the abstract, they clearly want, first of all, starting with the need. Okay, then the strong background and the methodology. Okay, and then they're trying to go with the reference section. So why they are going for reference section? There are many aspects lies here. Okay, one is the type of articles you referred and the type of journals you referred, and also they will look for their journal. Okay, it is maybe it's a hard truth. We need to understand, accept that. Okay, if you're sending to any journal, okay, if your paper, you must cite at least one or two papers which is published by the journal. Okay, otherwise, if you're simply sending, then it won't. Most of the time, it won't get selected. That's the one thing. Another thing is when they look at your reference section, they can easily understand what kind of the source you're referring. Okay, see, for example, if you just go to a Google search and then finding research article and then citing it, okay, which are not indexed, which are not peer reviewed, okay, or which is simply from the proceedings. Okay, usually they don't accept these kind of papers, okay, especially top quality. I'm talking about Q1 A star A category journals. Okay, Right. Now, so whether is it possible to analyze those things, because these are all happening within 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. And nowadays they have a proper systematic way where they're using AIs. Okay. Every journals they're using AI. If upload the paper, they simply give all the meta data about your paper, how many papers you referred, from where you referred, okay, how many the regional papers, how many foreign papers, okay, whether it's a quality papers referred or not, okay. Those things it is very. For example, I'm just telling you, you're talking about some topic on doing research on motivation. Okay. Now, obviously, the reviewer will expect us some reference from the motivational theories. Maybe you can there are books or some theories are available. Okay, or you there are some papers, pioneering papers will be available. They will ask to they will checking whether you refer those things or not. If you are not referring, that simply it is a clue that you are giving that your paper is not a quality. Okay. So like this, there are many aspects are there, and that is you need to keep these things in mind. Okay, and coming back to this, literature review is not summarizing. Okay, merely summarizing prior work will be rejected. The reason is, gone are the days where we simply write. We'll take one paper. Since if you refer to some 20 papers or 25 papers, we'll take one paper and we will write one paragraph on this paper and then cite. Okay, this author given like this. They just explaining their abstract in one paragraph, and like this we keep on write 25 paragraphs. If you write like this, obviously your work will not be accepted, because it's all very old, outdated technique. Okay, nowadays people don't want to listen or just summarizing those things. We need a critical analysis, critical evaluation, and contradiction. Okay, about the existing knowledge. Okay, so that's why. So mainly, the reviewers want to see whether your study fits into the evidence of architecture, why it must exist. Okay, that's important. Why your study exists, or why your findings are important, and why people need to read your paper. Okay, so that is need to be clearly explained. Okay, right. Now, what are the different functions? Right. What are the different functions of literature review? First of all, conceptual mapping. So this is where we're starting with. Okay, first of all, we need to identify the themes in our research. What are the possible thematic analysis? Okay, so maybe here for example, maybe you can take your variables as a theme, especially in the empirical study and quantitative study. We'll be using a independent variable, dependent variable, and mediating, moderating variable, like that. So these variables can be taken as a themes. Okay, and for each of the theme, you can identify your papers. Okay, you can identify some papers under each of the theme. Next, theoretical anchoring. Every research must must be aligned with some theory. Okay, maybe if you see this, my theory. This is an entirely new one. My research is entirely new one. There are no existing studies available. You cannot say like that. There will be some studies. So there will be some theory. Okay, maybe in multidisciplinary theory or interrelated theory will be there. We need to try to connect with this, and then sometimes what happens, even if we are not getting exact match theories, that is also one of the research gap we can do. So we can explain clearly what is missing in the existing theories. Okay, and then you can go on developing your own new theories. That is also so theoretical anchoring, in the sense you're identifying a theories related to your study, and identifying papers, listing papers accordingly. Then the third option is legitimacy building. Okay, see, a weak review, in the sense the way you reviewing the papers. Okay, it is not simply I'll go to the Google Scholar, download. I just giving a keyword, download all the papers, and I read all the papers, and I use them mainly to list and add. Okay, this is a very weak kind of reviewing. There are now we have a different techniques we will follow. Okay, we have Pico technique, spiral technique, and Spiro technique. Okay, there are different frameworks are there. Okay? Even in the literature review, there are different way of doing systematic literature reviews or meta-analysis. There are different ways of doing it. Okay? You need to adopt the systematic procedure in reviewing. Okay, that's the important element. Okay? And so literature review just is an argument, not a summary. You're just arguing. Okay, what is existing, what is your what is not there. Okay, and what is the gap. You're proceeding. You're starting with the conceptual framework. Okay, conceptual studies, and then you're proving. You're slowly moving on to the lacking aspect in the existing literature, and then finally you're ending up with a research gap, and then through your research gap you're strongly recommending the need for your research. Okay, this is how the flow goes. Okay, you're starting with the concepts, and then moving into the theory, and then understanding the lagging element. Okay, and then identifying it as a research gap, and then proving your need for research. So what is the difference between listing and synthesis? Okay, if you see the left-hand side, the weak way of doing a weak way of reviewing literature. Okay. This is now usually even I could see some of the students doing this. Okay, especially in a graduate research project, or even some even PhD scholars also doing this. Okay. So simply they just mentioned Smith found that, okay, Jones argued that, Kumar stated that. So it is just a listing what they have done. Okay. This is not the way of reviewing the literature or presenting the literature review. Okay. If you could see the right hand side, across Indian higher education institution, HA in the sense higher education institution context, intrinsic motivation consistently predicts retention. So both the people, Smith and Jones, already discussed about this. So here we are quoting both of them. Okay. We are not simply listing what they said. We are just discussing the concept, and the concept is cited by two people. Okay, and given by two people. We are citing those people, those papers which discussing about this concept. Okay. Then the moderating role of perceived organic support remains contested. Okay. Then again, realistic. So this is how we need to write. Okay. So grouping citation by thematic finding, name both what agrees and what remains unresolved. Okay. So you should be very clear. Okay. First of all, grouping the citations. If the 3 or 4 authors talking about a similar kind of thing, you can list all the 3 or 4 together and then give one single sentence or one paragraph. Okay. And then name both what agrees and what remains unresolved, like that. That is also, for example, here they mentioned about interesting motivation constantly predicts retention. Okay. And only the motivation predicts, or what about others? Okay, what is not discussed in this data? That is also you can list here. Okay. Next, selecting your theoretical lens. Okay, as I told you, theory is important. Okay. Through the theoretical lens, only you need to look at your research, okay. And because every research should be placed with the theoretical base. Okay, because whatever the theory you're building upon, the base always a theory. It need not be a one single theory. It can be multiple theories also. Okay, you need to identify the relevant theories. Okay, that's why I'm telling you theories, not theories in the sense there may be more than one theory maybe supporting your research. Okay, you need to identify which theory will be good, because why do we go with the theory? Because theories are the abstract ideas or concepts, okay, which need to be proved or which need to be tested. Okay. And here we got opportunity to take up one theory, and then we are testing it, and then maybe we can either prove it or disprove it, or agree or disagree it. Okay, that is the outcome of our research. But without a theory, if you start working on, nothing will work out. Okay, and especially the top quality journals will always look for a theoretical base. Okay. So one of the section of your research article should be theory. Theory is related to the, okay. And even in the abstract, you can explain, you can mention what kind of theory you discussed in your study. Okay, that is important. And here I just listed some of the theories because this here are all the examples I have. I am preparing a one paper on a quiet quitting, okay, employee quiet quitting. I'm just writing. I almost completed the paper. Okay, so this paper is about the employees quiet quitting in higher education institution in India. Okay, especially university faculty among the faculty members. Okay, among the university teachers, there is a phenomena is going on that's called quiet quitting. Okay, so what is quiet quitting? Okay, quiet quitting is nothing but doing the simple things in the sense minimum record thing. Because now, if you look at the concept, what is quiet quitting? Usually, there is some employment issue going on, especially in the higher education institutions. If you take any institution in India, okay, you leave those government institution, government supported institution, those things. I'm just talking about the private universities and the colleges, okay, where the movement of faculty from one to other is very limited, okay, because nowadays if you go for any other very top quality institutions, you need a publication, you need a research skill, okay, you need a strong research skill. And so people who have this skill, they can easily get into the other job, okay, easily get into the top job. But people who do not possess these skills, okay, maybe they are not very good in research, but maybe they're good in administration and other activity. So here, what this happens, still, since the scope for them is very limited, they cannot quit the same time, they cannot continue. So this is the situation arises. So what they will do is they will do quietly doing this. That's why the concept is quiet quitting, which means that they're still in the job, but still they do a minimum required work. Okay, so that's the kind of phenomenon is going on. And in this, what are the theories can be mapped with this topic? Okay, so I could select some 5 to 6 theories along with this. One is social exchange theory, since I'm talking about employer reciprocity, okay, because the how well the employer treats the employee, that's the return he or they will get. Okay, that's like that. So social exchange theory is there, conservation of resources is there. Okay, technology acceptance models, because I'm also working on one more adoption, the paper about AI, okay, agentic AI and how AI adoption in the education system. Okay, so that is also there. So that's why it is technology acceptance models also there. Then institutional theory, because I'm talking about higher education institution in India. Okay, then self-determination, agency theory. So these theories are I can link with my study. Okay, now why this theory is important or how this theory will help, because it will give a clear idea to the reader, okay, what aspect we are covering. Because when you say social exchange theory and conservatism resources theory, so we are giving a clue, and we are also creating a curiosity, okay, how this modern day concept called quiet quitting can be linked with the existing old theories. Okay, that's what. Okay, so first you need to select a theory and looking at our research through the theoretical lenses. Okay. Now we have a as I told you, there is a different framework in doing a review of literature, okay, and presenting the review of literature. One of this is PICO framework, okay. So first here, this is a framework will help you to identify or search literatures, okay. You need to use this framework for searching the literature. So what is the PICO framework? First one is population. Okay. So who's your target population, okay, and where they exist, okay, and what kind of studies already exist on this population. For example, in my category, I'm focusing on the Indian university faculty. Okay, so here it may be a deemed an autonomous institution I can take. Now, is there any existing studies available on this, especially related to faculty members, okay, higher education university faculty members? There may be n number of papers, but my focus is on the work-life behavior, or the workplace behavior, then their outcome, satisfaction, those things I will be covering. So I need to focus on the population which I am studying. The second is what are the issue or variable I am talking about. For example, my variables are quiet quitting, AI adoption, and job embeddedness. Okay, so I need to search for the papers in these variable. I told you about thematic, right? So I could say this, the three themes are there. Okay? There are three themes I can do. I can search papers on this. And the third one is the context. Okay, so context, because it all happens, especially these quiet quitting and all the problems in the higher education issues happened post pandemic, because during the pandemic, most of the institutions, they slashed their salaries of their employees. Okay, and then it became a practice now. Okay, and post pandemic, especially faculty members in higher education is facing a lot of problems. Okay, now I'm just explaining the context. Okay, so I'm focusing on this context. So my paper search should be the post pandemic. Okay, maybe after 2021. It doesn't mean that I should not refer old paper. I can refer, but still, majority of the paper should be covering this period. Okay. Then, what is the outcome? What is the outcome I am expecting? My outcome variables. Okay. So I'm focusing on turnover intention and productivity, especially with the quiet quitting. If the research productivity is good, they're able to manage well faculty. So that's why these are my outcomes. So I'm focusing on papers discussing about this. So this is the PICO framework. Okay. So like this, you can refer when you are going for reviewing literature. Maybe before you start your search criteria, you can keep this thing in your search criteria. Okay, this is one of the framework. The other one is, as I told you, there is a spider framework or Spiro framework. Actually, I'm just going very fast. I know that, but if you have any doubts or clarification, please stop me, because just trying to cover these theoretical aspects very quickly and give you some practical guidance, especially with AI, how AI can be used. Okay, right. So spider and Spiro framework, maybe you already heard about this. Okay, you may be using this. Okay. So if you're going for a qualitative or a mixed method kind of research, you can go for a spider framework where sample, phenomena of interest, a design, evaluation, those things you can take. But if you are interested in outcome and intervention based research, okay, you can go for a Spiro framework. Okay. So we discussed about three framework. One is PICO, which is used for a quantitative kind of a study, okay, which normally we use in a HR and marketing setup. Okay. So second one is Spider. It's for qualitative and phenomenological studies, and Spiro, it's a intervention and outcome based review. Now, what are the database strategy for Indian researchers? Okay, what are the databases available? So we usually go for a Scopus, because nowadays many institutions have access to the Scopus database. Okay, but you can otherwise, even if you can contact any libraries, famous libraries, for example, IIM Bangalore have access, giving you access. If you are subscribed to a IIM library, you can IIMB library, you can access their Scopus database, and then you can do. So one of the sources Scopus. Okay, and another one is the Web of Science. Okay, these two things are important, because if doing social science, you can go for so in technology and engineering and science background, you can go for Web of Science. Okay, and the second available thing is Google Scholar. Maybe I don't recommend this Google Scholar for a review. Maybe you can get some idea through this Google Scholar, but I won't recommend, because the reviewers are very particular about it. Okay? Because usually in the Google Scholar, you'll get the results are huge, in the sense you cannot categorize them in a proper way. Okay, whether it is a research paper or a conference paper or a book series, or it is published, it's a peer reviewed or Q1, Q2, like that, you cannot categorize it. That is a problem. And also, even what is it? college undergraduate project can be listed here. Okay. And you cannot claim that you referred those paper and from there you are derived. Okay. That is not accepted because it is not reviewed properly. That may not be reviewed properly. Okay. So Google Scholar, just for understanding purpose, you can use it, but still then consensus AI is one of the AI, but there are so many AI tools are available from where we can use it, because the main purpose of these AI tools is that simplifies our work. You all know that after the invent of the AI, the research become quite easier for the researchers. Okay, doing research is very easier. Okay, so you can use a consensus also. So here, as I told you, from thematic clustering, okay, from nodes to paragraph. So how do we can proceed with it? First, you start with the writing down some, taking some notes, okay, and noting down some abstracts, okay, because when you're doing review literature, we are not going to read all the papers, okay. We just search using a keywords, okay. We identify relevant papers, and then we read out those abstract and understand their context, and then we narrowing down your papers, and then we'll take notes. So this is the first step. Second one is tag by finding. Okay, so not simply it need not be all the papers should agree with this your concept, or all the papers should again disagree with this. Tell me, you need to go for the papers which is agreeing, which is disagreeing, and those things. Okay, next. Form 3 to 5 themes. Okay, maybe based on your theory, or based on your variables. Okay, based on your conceptual framework, you can frame this and write one paragraph per theme. Okay, like you start writing when you're writing one paragraph per theme, like this you need to write. Okay, so here I've given examples. Okay. So the way I used quiet quitting literature, I use Anderson's. Okay, there are 3 Andersons are there. So I referred 18 papers for this. Okay, theme 2 moderators, leadership and POs are moderators. 11 papers are referred, and outcome, turnover and performance. So 14 papers. So I'm just grouping them, and then when I'm writing this, I'm citing all these papers. So this is how I can do. And one more element, as I told you earlier, the citation rule is pre-2015, which means almost 10 years before. Okay, may be used for theoretical support. Okay, but if you're quoting these papers for your the variables, okay, methodology, then it will not be a good. So mainly you can need to focus on the last 5 years, maybe 2020. I'm not talking about any my paper, even for any kind of research. Okay, you can focus on the last 5 years paper, especially citing your gaps and citing your findings. Okay, so last 5 years would be good. So this is about literature review. Then when it comes to gap analysis, research gap analysis, there are 3 things. There are many, totally 7 different gaps are there. Okay, and but the research articles, especially journals and reviewers, will focus on 3 gaps. Those are methodological gap, contextual gap, and conceptual gap. Okay, maybe in the any other order you can take it. Okay, maybe you can start with the conceptual gap, or you can start with the methodological gap. Okay, these 3 gaps must be present in your research. In the sense, sir, when you are stating your gap, you explicitly mention these 3 things. Okay, if one of the gap is not there, then you must revisit the existing literature, and maybe you can refine your review. Okay, that is important. So first one is methodological gap. Okay, it talks about how they studied it. Okay, because sometimes in the olden days, maybe if you see this, only the quantity papers will be there, or second data papers will be there. Okay? Now people are going into the qualitative papers. Okay, going into the different aspect of collecting a data. Okay, that need to be very clear. So here, this can be in a multiple ways. I'm giving an example. Cross-sectional designs. Okay, existing studies only talking about cross-sectional data. There is no longitudinal data, or there is no multiple way of time correcting data is not available. That also you can mention one of the gap. Second one is common method bias. So this is important element because most of the time when you are publishing a paper, sending a paper to our journals, we miss this, okay, doing the CFA and structural equation modeling. Okay, we tend to miss this because reviews are expecting this. Okay, and small homogeneous samples are already done, can go for large sample. Then quantitative only, then you can go for quality also. Next method also you can try. So this is the methodological gap. Contextual gap. Studies which is already done in a foreign context, Indian context is not available, or it is done in maybe hospitality context, not in the academic context, okay, or the IT context, but it's not in the core industry. Like that, we can check. Okay, that is one of the ways we can mention. Then conceptual theoretic. So here you can see moderator. The important mediating moderator is missing. That are one of the important variable that is missing. They can add and then coming out of the new, maybe even for the existing models. For example, the Circol model is there. Okay, but now Circol models are outdated. There are so many refined version of Circol model is there. Similarly, TAM model, technology acceptance model is there. Now it is refined with the UTAUT model. Okay, like that. So that's the scope. If your existing conceptual framework and theoretical framework is not clear, and if you want to add more, we can add. That is a gap. Okay. So this thing you can check. And how do we convert our gap into an objective? Okay. So here, if it is a methodological gap, we can clearly mention to employ two-way CBSM design to test the structural model. One of the objective can add. That's what it is. Just a suggestion. It not be a. Then contextual gap also you can mention, and this is quite quitting and residence among faculty in Indian higher education institutions. So like this, you can link your objective with a gap so that it will give more clarity for the reader and it will lead to easy acceptance. Okay. So how gap statements can be mentioned, okay, presented. These are three aspects you need to be very clear. Okay. What is known, what is missing, and what is the matter? Why it is matter? What is the existing studies available? Okay. And what is missing? Why? Which they are not talking about? Which aspect which is not there in the existing literature? And why it is important to know about it? Okay. So there is these three things, three ways we can start writing your research gap. Okay. And okay, now we have 20 more minutes. We just go for a live demonstration. Okay. Okay, this will stop sharing. Okay, let me share the entire screen now. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can just you can ask. Screen is not visible. Is my screen is not visible?
Sir, it's not visible, sir.
Now I have just closed. Okay, now I have just closed. Before that?
No, sir.
Now I'll share the I'll just share the entire screen.
Okay.
Because I'll be working on the is my screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. So as I told you, I'll be giving you some guidelines on using AI for a review of literature. Okay. So usually I use typeset.io. Okay. Notebook is also one of the good notebook they can also use site. Okay, and apart from this, we also have a consensus. Consensus.ai. Okay. How do we use it? So, TypeScript is one of the AI-based website where you can search for keyword and related papers. It's like a ChatGPT. Okay, ChatGPT is used for general purpose, but this is made only for research. Okay, especially for literature review or those things. See this what you see here below. You can search papers. You can do a literature review. You can draft the literature. You can drive that diagram, and you can look at the tools. Systematic research, Prisma model. Okay, if you want to do a Prisma model, you can do. Okay, and if you do a biomedical, it is a different. Okay, the deep search also you can refer. So if we just give you simply giving quite quick time. Ask for sign in. You can sign in with this. Okay, I'm just closing it because it's asking for some. Right. So I just given it is searching for it. Okay. So it will take time. Let it do. Then we'll go for the site. Okay. This is one of the very useful website for review of literature. Okay. Because usually I see people or even students using ChatGPT for a review of literature. Okay. The problem with the ChatGPT is it will give you some what is it? Hallucinated data. Okay. Hallucination in the sense so it is also asking for which I do. That's right. Hallucinated data. Okay. That is why you should not use it for any kind of research. Okay. Because if you ChatGPT output, it will give you some references. Okay, and if you check the reference, it will not be available. If you sometimes it will give a DOI number, everything. You just click on the DOI number, the paper will not be existing. Okay? So it's a bogus. So don't use ChatGPT or Gemini for a review of literatures. Okay? But if this site, it is a very good website okay, where search papers, and it also help you to write the review of literature section thematically or conceptually or chronologically, whatever the order you want, you can get it. Okay, and the references give it will provide is authenticated, highly authenticated. Okay. That's the one thing you can do. I just okay, just let me change this. I could see whether I checking whether it is possible to show you. Okay. Let me try this. So yeah, here we got the results. Okay, so it is asking for what kind of, because simply I'm giving a okay. So I'm just going for files. Okay, papers and research articles on Okay. Every time it's asking me. Okay. Let Okay, consensus is also very similar to this. Okay, so whichever paper referred here, it's all authenticated one, and you have a lot of option. Okay, and this medical also you can try. You can with the see journal ranking wise. If you want only Q1 journals, okay. Maybe I also suggest you to go only with the Q1 or Q2. Don't go for Q3, Q4. Can, and then citations. How many citations? It will start writing the paper. It will automatically you can write and exclude different. You can then physically these are things you can add. Paper requirement. So here, those things you can just and which year to which subscription past 3 years, past 5 years. This also you can mention and output. So taking time. Okay, this is the now I show you but how I do this. Usually I'll refer a 10 plans. Network connectivity, it is so this any search engine, you can use it and then download papers. Here I have some 10 papers with me on the topic fintech. Okay. Fintech is a keyword I given. There are 10 papers I downloaded. Okay. Take time. So the what this 10 papers will do. For example, I'm interested in only these 10 papers. Okay. Now I want to review these 10 papers. If I start reading the 10 papers, it will take time. Maybe it will take maybe 3 to 4 days. Even if I'm reading 2 papers a day, it will take 5 days for me to read the entire paper and then understanding it. So what I'm doing is this is going to Notebook LM. So just closing this. So here I'll go for create new.
So your voice is breaking, sir.
Okay, that's because maybe network connectivity I'm using multiple tab. Okay. Yes. I'm just closing this. Okay. Now what you can do is you can upload papers. So I'm just selecting the desktop, day to all the 10 papers. I'm just selecting and uploading. I'm not given anything. We just uploaded the paper. See, it's as of now, it's untitled notebook only. It's showing. But automatically, it will add a name. Okay? Automatically, it will add a name. Okay? See, one of the very useful feature of Notebook LM is this one. You can do a review of literature because usually when you are doing a review of literature for our thesis, okay, we may refer some 200 from 300 papers. Okay. And the outcome, whichever I'm getting, I should refer only these papers. Okay. So what is the difference between the Notebook LM and this this one SciSpace or site or consensus? These three website will give some random papers. Okay, random papers which is you are not aware of those paper where you what is the source those things. It will give a random papers. But if with a notebook, what happens? Whatever the papers you're uploading here, only that will be taken for analysis. Okay. If you already have some 100 papers, you are not downloaded under article with you. Okay. You already have an idea. and only these 100 papers to be reviewed, and the output should be derived only from these papers. Then you can go for this notebook LM. Let me, okay, so already it's given. Okay, this gives so many things. Actually, the result will be in a different way. Okay. See, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. Okay. So here, if you see, okay, the typeset I've given a quiet quitting. It found 77 papers. So relevance and abstract it is submitting. Okay, and you can also add columns. Okay, so here what are the columns you can add? You can go for insight, abstract, research. You can add methods used, limitations. Yeah, research cap. Research cap also you can, for example, I'm just adding this research cap. Now under each research article, what is the gap? Okay, it will give you. Okay. See, within a few minutes, okay, you could get the 77 papers related to the research topic. Okay, all the informations are available, and it listing the research. So in one single place, I can read all the abstract, research cap, everything together. Okay. So that is the advantage of using this AI tools. So one is quite the size space. Okay, this you can use it. The other one is also the, okay. You can try. Okay, initially it will free. Okay. Next concerns is also similarly. Okay, you can give your prompt. Okay, instead of giving it simply the quiet quitting keywords, you can ask for it. What is the context and what are the type of papers you want to refer, and what are the topic. Those things if you give, it give a clear output. Okay, this is one thing. I'll go back to the yeah. See here, all the 10 papers are uploaded. It's automatically named it FinTech and Operational Risk Management in Chinese Commercial Banking, because most of the papers are the China, done in China. That's why it's made like that. Okay, now this is what we're going to do. So here you can see the chat box. So in this chat box, okay, I'm going to give it a prompt, and I'm going to generate a review of literature. Okay, right. So prompting is important element. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a prompt in a 3 aspect. One is the context. The first one is the role, context, output. Okay? Role, context, output. Role in the sense, what is the role it need to perform. Okay. Usually, who will do the review of literature? Research scholars. Okay. Research scholar. And here you want to do especially so we need to do a literature review on fintech. Okay, that's the context. Then what is the outcome? We need a detailed review of literature section for our research article or research project. Okay, this is the outcome we are expecting. Okay, now I'm just typing the prompt. Assume that you are a PhD scholar doing research on the topic fintech and financial inclusion. Okay, this is like given a role. Okay, based on the papers uploaded, prepare a detailed review of literature report with research gap for the research project or research article can write. Okay. Include in text. Okay. In text citations in APA format. For example, Smith 9. Okay, just I'm giving this from. Okay, so give this from. Let us see how it is. By the way, we'll see the other things. Okay, so this can do. See this research gap. So from each study, what is the research gap? It is clearly mentioned solely on secondary sources. So we can go for a primary source as our literature. Then provides a direction for further research, noting the number of gaps in the literature. Okay, this is also do. So these are easy ways of identifying a research gap. Okay, so usually how we'll do if manually we will look for two ways. One is existing gap in the literature in the paper or the future direction. If you look at those two things, you can easily understand the research gap. Yeah, the aids help us to easily and this you can do. So then see, it gave me it's writing. The identified research gap. Okay. So I'm just copying this and putting it in a Word file. Okay, so that's it. We have the literature review report. Okay, I just given it 10 papers. Okay, properly listed this. See this, all this listing. Okay, and gap also. These are the gaps. Informal and formal financial literacy, log algorithm. Okay, conclusion. Okay, give me 3 pages, and if you want further, okay, maybe you can improvise the prompt, and then you can give more. Okay, and provide the list of references in APA format. Because this is also we need, right? So it will give you. So we just copy paste. You can do. Okay. So this is the advantage of the notebook LM. If you refer any of this paper, it is all already there in the upload. So only those paper will be referred. Okay. So this is an advantage. If you already have a paper, you can want to do some study. You can do it. Okay. And why I'm using notebook LM is free. Okay, and especially if you have a geo network, you can have a 1 year pro version free. Okay, Geo is giving you a 1 year pro version, which includes Gemini, the notebook LM, and all of its AI tools. Okay, whichever it is. So here we got this. See, 3. Okay, only the 10 papers are there. And yeah. Yes. So all the papers are listed properly and it's properly written. And if, for example, if you check this, okay, I'll just click on this, the DOI number, say taking to Taylor and Francis. Obviously, I download from there only. This paper, Effectiveness Regulars of FinTech in the case of China. Okay. So, officer citations and citations are proper, the link is proper, is authenticated. Okay. So, yeah. Any clarifications or doubts?
Participants, if you have any
One
doubt,
question is,
you can write,
yeah,
you can raise your hands.
one question I received is, if you use tools like this, can it be determined whether the content is plagiarized or AI? So no plagiarism, but it will be AI generated only. Maybe we can refine it. Okay. Because I suggested for the faculty members for a research article. I don't recommend this for PhD scholars because they have a time to read and all they do the review of literature. But for faculties, we don't have time. We have very limited time. Okay, so we can use these things. Okay, and can you share the PPT? Yeah, it will be shared with the organizers. You can check with them. Any other clarification? Refining in the sense, usually there are tools for humanizing is also available. Okay, I will recommend you to go for a stealth writer. There is a, maybe I'll show you. I think it is okay. Stealth writer is one of the reliable tool. Okay, reliable humanizer. Okay. So this you can do, and even it will bypass the Turnitin also. Okay, but the thing is, you can simply, if I refer this paper, see if you take this paragraph, usually AI will write a very lengthy sentences. Okay, for example, I have one tool to show you. See these sentences which are marked in red, which are long sentences, which is not possible for human to write. Okay, see how lengthy it is. So what we can do is, for manual correction, we can simply split this sentence. Maybe check. Okay, if you check this, there will be more than 25 words in a one single sentence. So what you can do is, you can split this sentence into sentences. Okay, there is a one. Another way is maybe you can see some of the words usually used by AI. Okay, so this you can. So what about the Q1 journals, and can you suggest some journals based on the film? Who is asked? Okay, so Q1 journals, maybe if you go to the Scopus, you can easily find. Okay, Scopus website will give you all the list. Or if you want to go for a ranking wise, Simovo also give you there. If you find the Scopus journals, okay, there is also way to find. To select and identify theories and match with the research gap of our topic. So actually here you can maybe you take help of AI tools. Okay, especially I suggest to go for a Claude. Okay, Claude is giving you a very good output. Okay, so you can refer. You can just simply do a prompt like this. You state your topic, you state your variables. Okay, and then ask for a relevant theories. It will suggest very relevant, closely relevant theories. Okay, and also it give you suggestion how it can be used. Okay, that you can do it. Okay, limited features is unpaid version, but many features are in a paid version. Obviously, it is true. So what I suggest you, maybe you can go for any one or two subscription. Okay, one or two tool subscription. Okay, especially for faculty members, I suggest you go for a Claude as of now, because I used Gemini, I used ChatGPT, I used even Grok also. Even ChatGPT uh,